has been spewing propaganda and hateful rhetoric on Twitter when he says, maybe there's a connection between states with no voter ID laws and undocumented migrants with Democrats winning, and that only further persecutes migrants in our country and only further radicalizes and emboldens hate against people that are not white.
I don't hate anyone.
Dean, do you know what legitimizes our claim?
Why you always make it about racist? Why you always make it about race?
God, because this is all about emboldening hate against other races.
Okay, to answer your question,
because you're racist,
I agree with you. You're correct on that, but both sides do that. You know why they don't actually fix the border problem?
Michael, thank you for the $5 on PayPal. I appreciate you for the love, Michael. Lily with a $20 donation on Venmo. Lily says, thank you for doing the hard work and educating those that truly do not understand and try to understand our injustices. I appreciate you for the love, Lily. Eva, thank you for the $2 on Venmo. Dusty with a $5 on Venmo saying you give me help in the future, please go to law school. Amela with a $5 on Venmo as well. Now go ahead and continue.
So Dean, I'm going to say real quick, what happened to the 10 million votes that Joe Biden got in 2020? And why did the Democrats receive 10 less votes this election cycle than in 2020
Well, I mean, first, it's not 10 million, it's 7 million. And then, they either didn't vote or they voted. Biden got 82 million votes in 2020. There's so far been 74.5 million votes cast for Kamala Harris in this election. The difference of that would be 7.5 million votes, you freaking dumbass. Secondly,
so you making it personal. Automatically you forfeit any argument when you make it personal attacks. Let me just go. It is amazing that you've made it this far in debate while making personal attacks like that.
How did I possibly forfeit and lose?
Bro,
how did I possibly?
The fact that you don't understand that shows your age, bro.
How did I possibly forfeit and lose the argument? You said that there's a differential of 10 million votes. I tell you exactly how many votes Biden got in 2020, exactly how many votes Kamala Harris got in 2024, and then did the math for you and explained how the differential is 7.5 million votes. And then you're like, oh, you're hurt by my words, so then you say I forfeit the argument. Maybe I'd care if you didn't vote for a 34-count felon adjudicated rapist that has isolated us from leaders of democracies within the EU, isolated us from the leaders of Canada, and then lied about a conversation that he had specifically lied about a conversation that he had with the leader of Mexico, has grown closer to dictators such as Putin, all right, has boasted about grabbing women by the P word, boasted about walking into the changing room of Miss Teen USA teen girls while they are half naked, thank you for the star map, and said that he wanted to date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, while also calling for the religious persecution of all new Muslims from coming into her country. And then cherry on top of all of this shit, you have the animosity to act like I'm in the wrong. It's incredibly insane. Emily, thank you for the $2 on Venmo, but go ahead.
Can I talk?
Yeah, you could respond.
So I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Stacey Abrams' district was Fulton County, and I'm from Fulton County. She installed Dominion voting machines in Fulton County. I turned in my ballot in 2020 and 2024 into Dominion voting. I'm a cybersecurity expert. Well, I would not say expert yet because I'm still in school, finishing up my last 2 semesters. But it is a federal crime to have voting machines which can connect to the internet via Ethernet or Wi-Fi. Yet those were proven in a court of law to operate that way. It was proven in front of a judge, in front of a court of law, that these Dominion voting machines can be hacked within 2 minutes. It happened live on video in a courtroom. I
need to correct you on your misinformation. Dominion voting machines don't even have the required ports to connect to the internet connection.
Yes, they do. They have
Either that be wirelessly or through the Ethernet.
Please, I implore you to look into what you're stating as facts.
No, yeah, sure.
Go ahead and give me. Please pull it up on your screen.
Sure. Go ahead and give me the court documents. Go ahead and give me the court documents.
You're the one with the stream, buddy. Just pull it up. Stop making others do your homework for you.
Okay, Jay, so I'm going to go ahead and just tell you that you're being absolutely insufferable. If you make a claim, you have to provide the evidence for it, and you can't obfuscate around that fact because you don't have any evidence by saying that I need to do my own homework.
It's in court.
I was going to call you
It's in court.
Yeah.
Are you just picking and choosing what you want to see and use?
No, I'm literally asking you for the court documents.
Then why are you ignoring that?
I'm
The
not
court
ignoring it.
documents
I'm asking for
show
you to
on
prove it.
video, buddy.
All I'm asking for is to see the court documents.
He's
Am I
saying he
able
doesn't
to
have the
send you a
video.
link? Yeah, like I'm on a
Yeah.
phone. I can't
You
really.
could give me
I'm
the
on an old
title.
phone. On top of that,
You could give me the title of an article. You could
yeah,
give me the
look up
publisher.
Dominion voting machines in court. Just look up Dominion voting machines in court. I'm sure it'll come up. And the New York Times even wrote an article saying these Dominion voting machines are not, what's the word? Credible. No, not credible. That's the wrong word. They're not.
Yeah. You know what comes up when you search up Dominion voting machines in court is how
Sure.
Fox News and Tucker Carlson spread the same lies that
Okay,
you're
great. So
spreading.
Google has their own
Shut the fuck up, little boy. Let the real man speak. Don't interrupt me. Thank you. It just shows how Tucker Carlson and
Please
Fox
show me
News
some respect.
lied about the voting machines connecting to the internet, and within Dominion suing Fox News for close to $1 billion that led to Tucker Carlson being fired, with Republicans then taking the appeal all the way to the Supreme Court that this was not defamation and that it was actually true, within the conservative Supreme Court ruling that the Republicans' claims that it was not defamation were false. That's all that I see when this pops up. And by the way, we're just going to clear this up. I strangely agree with the Heritage Foundation here. The one and the only time shut up. The one and the only time that I agree with it. Shut the fuck up before I kick you. Have some impulse control. This is the one and only time where I agree with, the Heritage Foundation, right? Because the Heritage Foundation has reported, and you're off the stream, goodbye, right? See you later. 5 minutes of fame are over. With the Heritage Foundation only reporting 1,700 cases of voter fraud since the 1970s. There was no evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. None. Nada. Zero. Donald Trump, almost. Donald Trump funded his own electoral integrity committee millions of his own personal dollars to find any evidence of widespread voter fraud in 2020. And then they took all the things they could find to 63 hand-picked courts. 34 of those courts had judges that Republicans had appointed, and 17 of those courts had judges that he had appointed. Every single one of those 63 hand-picked courts told Donald Trump that he has no evidence for his claims. Mike Pence told Donald Trump that he has no evidence for his claims. Ivana told Donald Trump that he has no evidence for his claims. Bill Barr told Donald Trump that he has no evidence for his claims. This is nothing more than a useless fringe conspiracy theory with absolutely no evidence to justify it. And I will now give you, Jay Buddha, the mic to speak for as long as you would like to give us any evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. Now, I will make it clear. I will expect you to provide us with sources. I'm going to give you the mic. Provide any evidence of widespread voter fraud, but don't forget your citations. Go ahead.
Hello?
We're waiting. Hi, we're waiting.
Hey, sorry. I was on a call. What did I miss?
Oh, I told you that I was going to give the mic to you for as long as you wanted it to provide us with absolutely any evidence of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election, because none exists. And I will let you talk for as long as... One moment. And I'm going to let you talk for as long as you want to give us any evidence of widespread voter fraud sufficient to overturn the results of the election, but do not forget your citations.
Okay. So I guess I have real world, I don't know how to say this, but I have real world citations I've heard straight from the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. He stated that in Fulton County, over 18,000 votes were found to be illegitimate and not have the proper verification. In California, just one example was Will Smith's dead father voted in 2020. That wasn't really investigated. Let's see. Before this past election, Kamala Harris, with regards to the tens of millions of illegals who have entered the country over the past few decades, they moved hundreds of thousands of illegals to swing states. Now, to a party that claims to respect the rule of law and the process and all of the things that make our country different from any other, such as fair voting, representative democracy, and a constitutional republic, moving hundreds of thousands of people who, first of all, aren't supposed to be in the country. They're here illegally. So right off the bat, they committed a crime. And then second of all, the recourse of said action would literally remove the ability for swing states to exist. It would delete swing states because these swing states would be eternally blue, just like California when Ronald Reagan signed legislation in California that honestly just turned California blue forever. Now, I'm really, really glad that Trump won because he is going to surely fix the election system. He's going to make it federally required to have voter ID. Doesn't matter which state you vote in, you must have voter ID. So I'm very glad about that. I think that is a brilliant policy. I think that's common sense. Second of all, with the amount of illegals in the country, there have actually, I listened to both sides of media. I like the main source of news I get for, dare I say, left-leaning talking points is from News Nation with Chris Cuomo, because I believe Chris Cuomo has really tried to be more in the middle and less of a propaganda talking head, just like MSNBC, CNN. Oh, I just got flagged for civic and election integrity. Repeated violations could result in me being removed from this platform. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because so that's from TikTok. In any other scenario, I would immediately kick people off that get that warning. But I'm going to keep you up here. You want to know why?
Sure.
Because I wanted to see, I wish you could turn your camera on so I could see your face when I tell you this.
You don't want to see my beautiful face. You're not ready.
You claim that Georgia's governor office had announced that there was 17 invalid ballots in 2020, right?
17,000 plus.
Yeah. You want to know the evidence for that?
Sure.
A fucking Facebook post. And then you want to know the response from the governor's office?
Sure.
They claimed that was false.
That's funny because I recall Brian Kemp on video saying that.
Nope.
Just like most establishment politicians, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Nope. He was never on video saying that. Nope, none. Nada. That's a lie. That's something that you've only heard. That's something that you have never seen. You've never seen that because it doesn't exist. Nope. It doesn't exist. Everybody go to their laptops, look up, and I quote, the claim, Georgia governor's office notified Secretary of State of more than 17,000 invalid ballots counted in 2020. The governor's office went on video and came forward to say that claim was false. That's what they went on camera for. And then chat, we'll go over this point too. Remember when he said that Will Smith's father voted in 2020? After he died in 2017? Remember that, chat? His father's name Let's see here. His father's name is William Smith, same name. And the last time that his father voted was in a 2017 city election. Willard Smith. Yeah, we see that. We see how they just lie so easily. Now go ahead and unmute you three. This is a standoff until the death. You're all going to be leaving before I'm done with y'all.
I remember you were saying that the voting machines were not online, and I had a source that says the contrary.
Yeah, Dominion voting machines didn't have internet connection.
So why did NBC News report that they did on January 10th, 2020? Yeah. So NBC News, the title of the article starts with "Online and Vulnerable. Experts find nearly 36 U.S. voting systems connected to internet."
Yeah, what was their brand?
I don't think that it specifies in here. It just says that it says a variety of them nationwide.
Do you know how many?
And it says that they're not designed to be online, though, like implying that they could have been Dominion voting machines that are not designed to be online.
So you gave me a source that said that about 30 voting machines out of thousands were found to have an internet connection.
35 no, not a very small portion.
While they also specify that they were not designed to function in such a manner.
Yeah, so what happened is they weren't designed to function like that, but a lot of them were left in the mode where they could function like that, which some would say is a manufacturing error, or, I mean, perhaps someone from the manufacturing team leaving them with that capability on purpose. I'm not going to make a claim there, but...
No, Jack, they weren't when they say that they weren't designed by that, they literally didn't come with the required hardware to connect to the internet.
No, they did, though.
Dominion, dude, I got this right here. Voting machine security Q&A from Maricopa County in Illinois. You could go on there and you could reference voting on the Dominion machines and how they have a safeguard where they literally don't have the required ports to connect to the internet.
But it says right here that Dominion voting systems all put modems in their tabulators and scanners.
A modem that doesn't have any port to go into it for an Ethernet connection, and then a modem requires a router to give a wireless connection.
Well,
you literally just described
a wireless connection.
No, a modem doesn't. You need a router for a wireless connection.
So you're saying that it can't connect because it doesn't have a router in it? Yeah. So does my TV that's connected to the internet have a router in it?
Your TV would be connected to the router wirelessly.
Yes, exactly.
So your
that's how
TV
these Dominion
has a Wi-Fi
chip. If you read this NBC article, it says that
so your TV has a Wi-Fi chip in it, and through the Wi-Fi chip, like the Wi-Fi adapter in your TV, it connects wirelessly to the router and modem.
Right, but that doesn't mean you claim that you need a router inside these voting machines to let them connect to the internet, and that's just not true. If you read this NBC article, that's what it's saying.
Buddy, but
why are you trying to buddy me, dude? Just read the article. Read 3 paragraphs down. I'm providing you a source.
Is required for a wireless internet connection.
Yes, and there were routers in the building where these voting machines were housed.
For devices to connect to the router, they need a Wi-Fi adapter.
Yo, shout out Max Alert saying Jack is right.
Is not a Wi-Fi adapter. Is a modem a Wi-Fi adapter?
Okay, listen, I am not very informed. I'll admit I'm not very informed on wireless connections and that technology. I get it. You may be.
Wireless connection. No,
but Dean, that's not relevant. I'm trying to explain to you that if you read this article, it says that in places where there were routers, that these where the voting machines were housed, they were capable somehow of connecting to the internet. It was a capability that was supposed to be stripped from them after manufacturing, but many of them, at least 35 that we've discovered so far, were taken after production and put into actual polling places and used there, where they were then hacked. There were instances where they found that they actually were hacked, and that others were connected to the internet.
This is why you need to tell us the brand of them, because I know that
yes, Dominion. It says in the article Dominion. I'm trying to get you to just read this article, dude, because you made a claim that's just false. I've given you the title, man. It's "Online and Vulnerable" are the first 3 words. Experts find nearly 36 U.S. voting systems. It's NBC News. That should be all you need to search.
Wait, also, yeah, so I'll find this. But you understand that this doesn't dispute my claim, because even the article
It
says
does
that they're
dispute
designed
your
not to have an
claim.
internet connection. No, it doesn't. Are you okay? I literally made the claim that Dominion machines don't have an internet connection, and then your response to that is to say that, oh, these 30 machines came inadequately designed, not in accordance with the manufacturer's specification, and were then hacked to have an internet connection.
No, so
Like, you are
that's
literally
actually
like,
incorrect.
this is like
No,
me
that's not what
saying,
I'm claiming.
no, this is like
Go
me
ahead, but-
saying like that Honda Honda Civic doesn't come with 1,000 horsepower engine, and then this is like you saying, no, technically, buddy, you're wrong, because you know your one buddy with a Ricer that has the fucking swap with the Corvette engine.
Dude, bad analogy. Read the fucking
1100
article. Can I
HP.
explain this? Can I explain this real quick? Like,
So
with
do
all due
you think
respect.
that the 2020 election was stolen?
No, I don't even think that, and that's why I don't give a shit as much about this. But let me explain this to you. It's not similar to that analogy you're saying, because you're saying, some aftermarket parts soup up the engine. Yes, that's a completely different circumstance. All of these machines were built initially with internet capabilities. They were all capable of connecting to the internet because that's just a part of the manufacturing process. And yes, that's Dominion voting machines. It's in this NBC News article. So no, it's not someone putting aftermarket parts on them or doing something to modify the machines so that they could hack into them. It's that some of them were left with the online capabilities, the internet capabilities, after they left the production plants. And they were put into polling places where people then were able to hack into them because they detected that they were still online.
Let's see.
So look, I'm not even going to argue that the election was stolen, but I'm simply just offering this article and this claim because what you said is just false. And I'm not going to trip about it and say like, oh, there was widespread fraud. Yes, it was only 35 that we found, but I don't think it's fair to say in front of 10,000 people that all Dominion voting machines were offline.
Yeah, that's being disingenuous.
And
Yeah,
to these people in the comments tagging me just
So
saying,
I think it's
shit, y'all need to
absolutely
get a fucking
fucking
job.
hilarious that you didn't even read the article.
Okay, what did I not read?
Go down to the 2 paragraphs above the video that is 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, and it says new questions about voting machines in 2020. I want you to read it out to us. The first word is Skoglund. Read off that fucking paragraph right now.
It says Skoglund said that they identified only one company among the systems they detected online, ES&S. ES&S confirmed that they had sold scanners with wireless modems to at least 11 states. Skoglund says these include the battleground states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Florida.
Thank you.
Okay, so what's the issue with that?
No, the
So it
issue
says
is you
they only
lost Jack
identified-
because he's trying to prove a point that you named the wrong company, so he won.
Well, I didn't
Good
even
job.
name a company. He said that voting machines were not online in the 2020
That's
election.
not the point. He won. He won, dude. Just give up. He won. He's gonna make you give up.
Okay, I'll concede it to you, Dean, but what's the point?
Yeah, because the article that you're sourcing, right, identified voting machines produced by ES&S as having a modem that could be hacked and connected to the internet. I referenced Dominion. Voting machines were not produced by ES&S. They are produced by Dominion.
Okay, if that was your claim, I'm wrong. You're right.
Awesome.
But
So
do
why
you
did
think
vote
do you
for
think
Trump?
that do you think that that's an sorry? Did you say why else did I vote for Trump?
No, I said, why did you vote for Trump? We haven't even gotten there yet.
Okay, sure. I mean, I kind of
Also, chat, yo, is this Patrick guy kind of based or what? Listen, anyways, go to continue, Jack.
I think Patrick is pretty based in my opinion, but I did not like the fact that Kamala's economic policy was analyzed to decrease the long run GDP by 2%. Oh, why?
By who? By who?
What?
By who?
Tax Foundation.
By Tax Foundation?
TaxFoundation.org. Yes.
So what specifically about our economic policy was analyzed to decrease a long-term GDP by 2%?
I mean, that's literally just, I can give you the source for that. It's literally at the top. They produced 2 articles. One analyzed Trump's economic policy and the other analyzed Kamala's. And they were both very fair. They showed the pros and cons of each. But there's a little summary just at the top, and you can literally see it right there. I can give you the name if you'd like.
Yeah, sure.
Kamala Harris tax plan ideas, details, and analysis.
Let's see. In the meantime, guys, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen, y'all. All right, you guys, in the meantime, make sure that we're double tapping away. While I'm reading this, I guess. Phenomenal. So what's the plan that they're evaluating? Could you give me the specifics of their plan?
It's just her overarching economic policy. It takes into
I know,
account a lot.
but I need to know specifically what.
It's
Because
literally just all
I
kinds
mean
of
they could
things she
factor
campaigned
in
on.
to a couple things here.
It includes a lot of different things. Her tax proposals, major business provisions. It talks about the capital gains tax, real estate tax.
Okay, yeah, because in here, so they're evaluating quadrupling the stock buyback tax implemented in the Inflation Reduction Act from 1% to 4% on kamalaharris.com/issues. If you want to reference her tax plan specifically, you will never see a quadrupling of the stock buyback tax. It also, let's see here, to make permanent the excess business loss limitation for pass-through businesses. I haven't seen that reference within her tax plan either. They're also further limiting the deductibility of employees. Never saw anything about that. Oh yeah, the global intangible low-income tax rate, raising that by nearly 2 times. That is not referenced on kamalaharris.com/issues. So it looks like there's bits and pieces of her tax plan that are going to be referenced from FY 2023, which was going to be a conjunct of things offered under the Inflation Reduction Act, as well as proposed by Biden, that don't play into the tax policy that she had proposed, right? Because when we isolate for her specific tax policy, we'd see like recommendations from Goldman Sachs and other financial institutions that estimated actually grow the GDP. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's would, cause, a slimming of the GDP. So overwhelmingly, the reason why I reject the source is because it makes considerations and includes things in her tax plan that just simply weren't a part of her tax plan.
So are you saying they weren't a part of her tax plan just because they weren't, written in paper or in ink or digitally? You're saying just so you don't think we should take into account things that she campaigned on?
No, but she would campaign on it by writing it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
she didn't campaign on those things.
Say maybe something that she mentioned at a rally.
No, like it actually tells me where these things are mentioned. Like a lot of the things that they're including here is from the Inflation Reduction Act and certain preventative measures that they're including within her tax plan, even though that was an act that was passed years prior by Biden, right? And it's like the overwhelming issue with this is that it is just including things in her quote unquote tax plan that were not like announced by her campaign.
So do we associate the Inflation Reduction Act with Kamala Harris or not? Because I've heard kind of differing things.
You could associate the Inflation Reduction Act with Kamala Harris, but you can't associate it with the tax and economic plan and policy.
Yeah, no. So the bad parts of it, we probably shouldn't associate the bad parts with Kamala, just the good parts. I think that's pretty fair.
No, I'm literally making myself so clear. Presidential nominees or like tickets have proposed economic policy that they want to implement given that they're elected. Does the Inflation Reduction Act have anything to do with her proposed economic policy that she was going to implement given that she was elected?
No, but I think what was going on here.
Thank you. So then stop being so dense and trying to like obfuscate between do we associate causality between Kamala Harris and this one policy that you want to reference signed into law a long time ago, right? That's not what I'm arguing at all. All that I'm arguing, right, is that her economic tax policy, right, is completely different and totally separate from the Inflation Reduction Act. And when you would obfuscate and try to relate the tax foundation saying that some things proposed under the Inflation Reduction Act would be included within an economic tax policy for the first 4 years is false. Do you understand that? And also, yeah. I mean, if you really want to reference inflationary pressures or means that will be bad for the economy, we should reference Trump's tax plan. Like 83% of the cuts in the bill went to people making over $500,000 a year. The CBO estimates it's going to cost $7 trillion when he's announced no plan for how he's going to pay for it. And his universal tariffs on all is going to cause a massive amount of inflation for the American consumer and will destroy American companies predominantly reliant on exports. And those are all from things he's announced are included within his tax plans, not some website such as the Tax Foundation that is obfuscating and including things within her quote-unquote tax plan that was never announced by herself or her campaign.
Okay, so you said a lot of things there, so I'm just going to jump on the last one, the tariffs, I guess. What do you think he's going to implement tariff-wise? Just off the top of your head, what is he going to do? What's his plan?
10 to 20% flat rate tariff on all goods imported into the country. Higher tariffs on goods imported from China, around the 80 and 65 to 100%. 25% tariff on all gas imported from Canada, and then similar tariffs such as 25% on goods from Mexico.
So, and which one of those do you take the largest issue with?
They're all bad. I take issue with them all.
Okay, so the China one, did he not just announce that it would only be a 10% increase?
Yeah,
as of yesterday, bad. I believe. So that's not 60 to 100%. Again, so you agree with that, right?
No, well, any increase in tariffs is bad. And what is the current rate of tariff now?
On China?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, yeah, I didn't know that he announced that it's only going to be 10%.
No, it's not that it was
right, but like still, yeah, all flat tariffs bad.
All flat tariffs bad. That's interesting. So again, so
bad.
All right,
do you disagree with me? Do you think that tariffs are good?
I think they can be, yes. And the point I was trying to make with that is,
so why do you support his tariffs?
Well, I'm not saying necessarily I support his tariffs, but here's the point.
So do you support his tariffs or do you not support his tariffs?
Okay, yes, I support his tariffs. Just let me get this point across to you. The point I was trying to make to you is that when he said 60% or 80% or 100% tariffs on China during his campaign, yes, he did say that. And what he's doing there is he's trying to pick up political capital saying things like that. It is a negotiation tool. He was never actually going to put a 70, 80, 90% tariff on China. As we now see, he's been elected. He'll be taking office soon. He now announces a 10% increase on China, which is something much more reasonable. And it's
not reasonable. It's bad.
Why? Okay, you say it's bad because it's going to increase inflation?
So it's bad because it increases inflation on the American consumer, right? It's bad because because then China fucks us over by increasing tariffs back on us, right? Last time he introduced tariffs on China under his first term, we saw that U.S. agricultural exports plummeted and American farmers went bankrupt. Not to mention that now, right? He probably just announced that he's only going to increase them 10% because China stopped the exportation of fine metals to America, right? We're already seeing the rebounding effects.
So, okay, yes, I'll agree with some things you said there, but let me ask you this. Do you think it's bad to produce products with labor that is not, adequately paid for, or even in some instances, slave labor? Yes,
and that's
terrible.
What China does a lot, yeah.
And do you think it's appropriate for us to be providing a market for those products?
No, I think that we should take means so we could shift our market predominantly to be not reliant on goods as produced by manufacturers. That
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Exploit human labor, right? But the way to do that isn't through tariffs, because tariffs create inefficiencies such as inflation and the reduction of our own exports. The way that we do that is by investing into the manufacturing sector of America with raw capital to boost our own production so we could further dominate that market. We know that this works. We know that this is a substitute to tariffs that achieve the same end. And we know that, specifically speaking, it doesn't produce the same inefficiencies. Donald Trump proved that this works with his farmers bill in 2017, where he invested $27 billion into the farmers that he bankrupted due to his tariffs on China, where he then increased their own manufacturing. Biden and Harris did this with the Chips and Science Act, investing $27 billion into U.S. chip producers. In the next 6 years, we're going to be dominating the market with 20% of the global chip supply. And we could do the same thing, right, for goods produced in China, right? Then I'll also say, maybe we can meet in the middle of the aisle here. At the end of the day, if none of that works, right, and there's still a reliance on a domination of markets in China that exploit human labor, what we should do is have isolated tariffs on specific manufacturers that exploit human labor. And you shouldn't use this as a virtue signal to justify flat tariffs on goods from all countries, including but not limited to China.
Okay, I mean, I agree with a lot of stuff you said there again, but I don't think it's appropriate to say I'm virtue signaling based off of this.
You're like human exploitation from some companies in China. Therefore, a 25% tariff on oil imports from Canada is a good thing.
Well, no. So, I mean, I'm not applying that with China. I'm referencing specifically increasing the 10% on China. I think, yes, it actually is good because, no, we shouldn't be providing a market for those things. And that's something I actually do care about. And I understand that putting blanket tariffs on right away is obviously going to increase inflation and make it a little harder for the...
But I just gave you an alternative to shift the market reliance from human exploitation of labor in China to U.S. producers that don't create the same inefficiencies as tariffs. Like you're literally saying there's two means here to shift our market reliance from China's production of goods. One mean doesn't create inflation. One mean doesn't create the destruction of U.S. businesses. The other mean does create inflation. The other mean does create the U.S. destruction of businesses. And you're going to take the one that produces the worst outcomes. Why?
Why do
Why
other
don't you just
countries do
invest
it?
raw capital?
Because one, that's raw capital. You have to pay for raw capital. That's not just an imaginary word. That's money that has to be paid for one way or another. Which so inevitably that's going to cost the taxpayers money one way or another.
And it'll
But
be
two,
great. That's going to be the best way that the taxpayer has spent money in forever. We're like sending
maybe we
this
can
shit
agree that's
on
better
like
than
tax
tariffs.
cuts for like ultra billionaires, like Trump did with his TCGA that only had an annual rate of return on our government revenue of $10 billion, right? And like, dude, investing into American companies, right, that have like an optimistic long-term turnout will probably provide the highest ROI for the spent American payer tax dollars out of any other investment. And like, you can't dispute this. Trump agrees. He did it with the Farm Bill. Biden and Harris agree. They did it with the Chips and Science Act. This is such a good way to be spending taxpayers' money because it creates a real ROI.
Okay, maybe we can agree that there's more efficient ways than tariffs. I don't know how realistic those are because again, I'm just not that educated in that specific field. I don't know enough about what you're talking about. So sure, I could just concede that to you. But let me present you a situation. Let's say so we engage in a lot of trade with Germany, right? Let's say that we import lots of stuff there. We get lots of stuff from them. Let's say they charged us 100% tariff. Like they one day came out and said, we're going to charge you now 100% tariff from the United States on everything, just blanket tariff, similar to what Trump would be proposing. Do you think that we should charge a similar tariff back on them?
No.
Why?
Yeah, because when Germany charges us, the American producer, that 100% tariff, who ends up paying it once it's in the market? German citizens, okay? Right? So it's fucking them, it's fucking their own country over, right? But obviously, we're still going to see a reduction of exports to Germany because of that can have rebounding effects on the American producers. So the way that we should deal with that is with diplomacy, right? Not with tariffs that will just fuck our own consumers and our own producers moreover, even more, right? So the way to combat other countries that have tariffs on us is by letting them fuck themselves over because it's hurting their own consumer and their own producers, right? And then trying to combat that with further diplomatic behaviors, not by imposing tariffs and sanctions back on them.
So then why are we not doing those things? Like,
and then also, can we just point out that like for whatever goddamn reason, you will fail to address reality? Like you're not talking about what Trump is really going to do. You're like, oh, there's some companies in China that are bad, right? Well, what if another country has tariffs on us? But why will you fail to address Trump's plan of a 10? No, you hold on.
Let me pause you there.
No, you're not going to pause me there because the one thing that you hate to hear that you don't want to address is the reality of the situation, that he doesn't just want to place tariffs on companies that exploit human labor in China. He doesn't just want to place tariffs on countries that have tariffs on our own imports. He wants to place tariffs on all goods imported to our country from everywhere.
As of his most recent address, that's not the case anymore. Well, okay, hold on. Let me get my computer.
Give me an address where he says that.
Yes,
he doesn't.
I'm going to get to it. But another thing, you're telling me I'm not in reality with the Germany situation there. You know, Germany does charge 100% tariff on all imports from the United States, right?
Yeah,
like they actively do
the reason I said that you're not in reality is because you're failing to recognize the totality of his plan. So go ahead and give me the clip where he addresses and states that he no longer wants flat tariffs on all goods.
Got you. I will. Dude, like I'm gonna have to find a source, but I saw it on CNN yesterday morning, so it's probably not gonna take me long to find this.
Great.
And again, just while I'm looking this up, do you not think it's right for us to charge some sort of tariff if other countries are just taking advantage of us and making it so that? Because ultimately,
that's a lie. That's
no.
Listen, they're not taking advantage of us. They're fucking themselves over.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
And then Trump wants to take advantage of. No. I'm literally explaining this to you. It doesn't take advantage of the American consumer. Okay, it fucks the German citizens over. Okay, and then Trump takes advantage of the American consumer by convincing them of a lie that's going to inevitably hurt them. They're like, oh, like Trump's like, oh, like Germany is taking advantage of us so much with the tariffs on our exports. So we should cause more inflation for American consumers that I guess are being taken advantage of?
No, what you're missing is the leverage you get from the tariffs. What happens is, no, we're not fucking over the German citizens because they're just not buying shit from us. That's what happens. There's no longer a large American market in Germany because of that. That's what happens. It decreases our economic output. There's not as much going on with our economy between us and Germany. That it in no way helps us. What happens is they just take advantage of us because they know if we do the same thing to them, yes, our consumers are going to pay more. So they just sit there with that tariff on our asses with their fucking foot on our neck, and we can't do anything about it.
Oh, okay. So if the German government imposes tariffs on exports from America, meaning that their citizens are no longer buying American imported goods, what does that do to their GDP?
It doesn't affect it. At first it may, but what they do is they just shift to other places to get these things. They get them elsewhere for cheaper with, again, like we were talking about, less ethically sourced labor or materials.
Oh, okay.
That's
And
just the reality of it.
Okay, so at first it reduces their GDP due to the fact that they're no longer buying goods imported from America, meaning people are spending less money and devalues.
But Dean, I think
their
we'd
own
agree
economy.
anything made in
And
America
then
is
you're
more
saying
expensive
that
anyway.
so they're saying that they don't have tariffs on China, but they have tariffs on America.
Who?
I think
Germany? I can't speak on their tariffs on China.
So
I don't
why
live
would
in
you say
China.
that they're just gonna like go ahead and import like cheaper goods from other countries
Because that's what they're
you have no fucking
doing.
clue.
That's what they're doing. And again, they never relied on us that much for anything. Germany never really relied on us for anything. We were sort of trading things on our own volition there. Companies were just making money overseas there, and that's just no longer a market for us. I
we
personally
rely
don't
on
think that's
Germany?
fair. For some things we do, yes.
Tabby, thank you for the galaxy. Like what?
Not that we would be completely cut off without them, but we import lots of things from them, lots of vehicles.
So
a
then,
very large share of our.
German vehicles. So do you care about the vehicle market? Do you
I do.
want to make vehicles more expensive for the American consumer?
Great, I know you're going to bring up tariffs that they're going to do that.
So
but
then you're going to impose tariffs on Germany, and then
overarching
all of a
point is
sudden
that-
anybody goes to a used car dealership lot or goes to a Volkswagen dealership, all of a sudden they're paying like an additional $5,000 to $10,000 for their 2022 Tiguan. It's fucked. That's why we shouldn't do that. Yeah, Germany shouldn't be taking advantage of us, but we shouldn't be like increasing the prices of German vehicles that have a market dominance in our country by such a large amount. That's not the way to resolve it. Not at all. Like, we absolutely shouldn't be doing that. That is such a bad idea.
Agreed. So
Not
let me
to
give
mention that there's Volkswagen manufacturing plants in America alongside various other German countries, German car manufacturers.
I agree with you, Dean. I'm not an idiot. I understand economics. I'm getting my degree in finance right now. I know what you're saying, that yes, it's going to increase inflation. Yes, it's going to harm the American consumer. What I'm trying to demonstrate to you is that these tools, these tariffs, are being used as tools for political capital to negotiate with other nations. If Trump
What's the
had to
political
enact-
capital for the 25% tariff on oil imported from Canada?
Dean, there are ways that other countries are taking advantage of us, and that is what Trump is trying to
How is
address.
Canada
Let me
taking
tell you-
advantage of us?
Can I give you something on the Canada situation?
Yes,
Here's-
I want to talk about Canada. How is Canada taking advantage of us?
Again, I'd have to get some sources and get specifics because I don't know exactly, but I can give you the sentiment of the.
And that's like the biggest issue, because what percentage of our oil and gas imports are from Canada?
I don't know the specifics on that.
70%. He's going to bump the price of 70% of our oil and gas imports by 25%. For why?
What I'm trying to say is he's not going to do that. He is
Sprinkles into the
negotiating with
galaxy.
Canada. If he bumps it, it would be very temporarily because that is not sustainable for neither us nor Canada. So we use that to negotiate.
You're
I'll tell
working
you-
backwards. No, you
we're not
assume that
working
Trump is
backwards.
rational. So you're assuming that
listen.
Trump is rational, and
Yes, we're assuming
you
that Trump is
finally made
rational.
the concession that his tariff plan will fucking destroy and really hurt America. So the only way to come to terms with that is just to baselessly assume that these tariffs are either not going to happen or are temporary or are being used as a way to negotiate political capital with other countries when you can't even name what is going to be negotiated, when you can't even name what the political capital is that Trump is seeking with something like Canada. Like,
Well, that's
seriously,
why I
like a
demonstrated that
25%
the
tariff on
Germany
gas
situation.
imports is fucking destructionary. It's so bad for America. You baselessly assume that it's just a tool for negotiation, even though that's something that
Why do
Donald
you
Trump
say
has
baselessly?
never said, because that's something Donald Trump has never said, and you
know
don't
the
know what he wants to
sentiment among
negotiate.
top economists and pretty much the entire private equity world right now is that these tariffs will not actually happen. Because if companies right now that produce, I know lots of companies, I actually know companies that produce in Canada, that own the means of production now in Canada that they formerly bought from, the sentiment among them, they're not looking to increase pricing among any customers currently, because the sentiment is these tariffs are not going to be enacted.
Kayla, thank you so much for the $5 to PayPal.
That is what the Canadians and that is what the Americans believe. That's what all these other countries believe, that these companies that I'm talking about, they manufacture in all kinds of different places worldwide, and they are not. If they wanted to enact price increases, that would start now.
So is it because he's not going to enact his own plan? Is that because Congress isn't going to pass his plan?
Yes, it is, because currently that is being used as a negotiating tool, and there will be positive.
What is he negotiating with that tool with Canada for?
What, Dean?
I need to know.
Again,
You're saying that 25% tariff on Canada is being used as a tool of negotiation by Trump. What is he negotiating?
Yes. One thing that he's negotiating is to bring more manufacturing back to America.
That's not a negotiation.
He's negotiating with American companies.
No, that's not what you do. Tariffs aren't used as a tool to negotiate a higher level of domestic production of goods. Tariffs are used as a tool to force a higher level of domestic production of goods, because you're giving more incentive to the American consumer to buy from American producers by increasing the prices of goods from other countries with an artificial government regulation. If you're saying that he wants to use a tariff as a tool of negotiation, you're essentially saying that he wants to use the tariff as a threat. Okay? But in order for that to promote a higher level of domestic production of goods, it means that the tariff is not just a threat, but it's an active implementation. Because you only achieve a higher level of domestic production of goods with the tariff being implemented, because it is that in which drives the consumer to have more reason to buy from American producers.
So, are you arguing that there is no incentive because of tariffs to move manufacturing to America, or maybe for companies to source their products in America?
There's no incentive because of tariffs as a threat to move more manufacturing to America. There's only incentive with tariffs as an implementation to be used to drive more manufacturing to America.
I mean, yeah, sure, but let me present you this. I was listening to a podcast.
So you just agreed. You just conceded then. You're saying that he doesn't want to use the 25% tariff on Canada as a threat. He just wants to implement it.
No,
if it's implemented, then it's not a threat. And if it's implemented, then it's going to drive the price of 70% of our imports up by 25%.
There was a podcast published by the Wall Street Journal a day or two ago talking to a business owner who produces body scrubs or something. That's not relevant, but he had these brushes that after the tariffs, he saw that his analysis was that the price would have to increase from $9 to $12 for him to still sell them and for that to be sustainable. So the night after the election, because he believes that these tariffs are going to be enacted, whether it's 10%, 50%, 80%, his best judgment was, and people in economics.
Dude, I don't give a fuck about a podcast, bro, talking about a scrub brushes for $9. I'm asking you, what is the purpose of the purpose of the proposed 25% tariff on gas and oil imports from Canada?
The American business owner that you don't give a fuck about is now looking for sources inside America to source that brush, and what he's now looking to is it's places that he can get that brush for around the same price. But it's going to be much higher quality when it was made in America. That's typically just something that we associate with American-made goods because
you're so delusional. You said that you're studying econ. If you could find it for around the same price, for the same price with higher quality, then that would be the market dominance already as it is.
I said a slightly higher price. I didn't say the same price. Yeah, inevitably it's going to be higher priced because it's a higher quality good. It's always going to be in America. That's simply the case. And because what do we?
All right, Jack. All right.
Dude, I mean, you can just laugh it off all you want, but how do you not consider that?
No, it is my consideration. You just described my only consideration.
Your consideration that
what is it? What is a higher price mean?
That caused people like
less purchasing power.
It's being used as leverage to move manufacturing back to America. This person is just one example of this leverage. He is now.
You literally just described my point for me. Yeah, tariffs will increase domestic production of goods. Yes. But will also cause inflation because of it.
Yes, agreed. Nobody can disagree with that in good faith.
And then my alternative is higher level of domestic production of goods with no inflation via the raw investment of capital in the manufacturing sector of our country.
Where do we get that capital?
Where do we get that capital? From the taxpayers. Duh.
So
Duh.
do you think that we're already kind of tight as is? Would that require increased taxation?
No. The reason is that this will provide an absorbently high ROI where we will finally be spending money wisely. Do you think that the government is bad at spending money on things that are just equate to long-term debt and don't generate a higher level of governmental income?
Yes, I do. And Dean,
You're gonna sit over your shit on the way
like
to
a Doge guy.
Dude, this would completely conform with a well-run Doge. Absolutely, it would. Absolutely, it would.
Okay,
A well-run Doge would agree with me, right? That we need to optimize the way that our government is spending money, and it is so incredibly good and optimal to be spending our money on U.S. manufacturers to bump their own production without causing inflation. Based.
Yes, actually very base, and I hope that is what Doge does. And I'm sure you'll agree with this. I think Doge needs to be bipartisan. I think there need to be voices from the left there, or at least just more centrist voices.
Bro, that's literally my only critique of Doge. Spot on. Good job.
Okay, I mean that's definitely something we can agree on, and I hope that's something that Trump works on, because that's the criticism I have of him. But
all right, well, is there anything else you want to go over? I'm probably going to move on to the next guest.
Oh yeah, move on, man. But I appreciate you letting me up.
I appreciate you for being educated.
All right, man. You too. Have a good one.
Have a good one. We're going to move on to our next guest. Woo! Quite the battle. Quite the battle we had there. We're going to move on to our next guest. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was fun. He was definitely one of, he knew more than like 99% of people that come on my stream. Mark, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I do appreciate you for the love, Mark. Everybody, please do show some love to Mark down below in the chat. Yeah, I could appreciate that. That is fun. Someone in the chat just said that's fun because it is. Having like a conversation with somebody that like I still think is annoying as fuck, right? But yeah, knows their shit a little bit. Knows their shit more than like 99.9% of people that come up on my live. I like that. I do. Based. All right. But yeah, thank you, Mark. All right, we're going to move on to our next guest.